Hello guys, today we will be talking about what if Naruto was a Saiyan and neglected part 3. If you enjoy this video please like and subscribe. Now let's begin. Kirigakure Hospital Room 243. One of the nurses in the hallway of the hospital walked by one of the patient's room before "Get that needle away from me!" screamed a frantic Naruto, and before she knew it the door came flying off its hinges courtesy of a medical nin who crashed into a wall and had the imprint of a foot on his face, and the nurse seeks out in surprise as this happened. She looked inside the room only to see a 12-year-old Naruto, and sweat drops at the sight. He was in a hospital gown wearing some boxers underneath. Naruto had two med ninja in a single arm lock, the other one interlocked around his legs, and the last one was being strangled by his tail in a comical fashion, and each of them were struggling to get out of his iron grip and with their faces going from blue to purple, while a frantic nurse with the needle in her hand was standing at the sides wondering what to do. At first she tried to calm him down, but when he bared his teeth, revealing a pair of lengthened canines, and growled at her in an animalistic way, she instantly backed away, not wanting to get bitten by him. As this chaotic scene occurred, Mei was making one of her daily routes in the building, checking not just the injured rebels but even the enemy ninja. She saw one of the nurses helping one of the medical ninja up and realized that this was Naruto's room and size. As she entered the room she sweat drops at the sight and shakes her head in amusement. "Mei-chan, help me, they're trying to give me shot!" Naruto cried. Both the nurse and the 4 medical ninja were giving her a pleading look to help them, so she decided to intervene. She knelt down next to him, leaned forward and kissed him on the lips, making the young Saiyan eyes widen in surprise and freeze at the contact. He lessened his grip on the 4 who managed to slip out of his grasp and inhale air at an alarming rate before rushing out the room, while the nurse took this opportunity to give him the shot before leaving out the room. Mei ended the kiss and then looked down at the dazed warrior in training, placing her hands on her hips and having a look of amusement on her face. "What am I gonna do with you, Naruto-kun? Did you have to strangle 4 med nin to death and attempt to bite the nurse's arm off? They're just trying to help you get better." Naruto snapped out of his daze and had the gall to look sheepish. "Sorry Mei-chan, but I don't really like hospitals and tend to steer away from them, especially needles. I hate needles," he said with a pout on his face while Mei giggles at his action. "So what has happened to Yagura? He's alive but still recovering. He's lucky to even be alive after you hit him with that attack, and it's mostly because the Sanbi took most of the blunt force," she answered, and wondered just how he pulled an attack of that magnitude off, especially since it practically rivaled that of an Imari, menacing ball, one of the Baiju's most powerful and signature move. Naruto on the other hand nodded. "Yeah, that was my first time using that move on an opponent of Yagura's level, and I also lessened that technique's attack power, otherwise I would have not only destroyed Yagura and the village but also half of Water Country," he answered, which made her eyes widen at the implication before realizing something. "Naruto-kun, if I may ask, what was that transformation you used when you fought Yagura?" she wondered, since the image Naruto with golden hair, piercing teal eyes, and that golden aura was still fresh on her mind. "Oh, that? Well, it's kind of a transformation my ancestor achieved a long time ago. Kind of like a hidden jutsu, secret technique, as only members of my family can use, but with a twist since it is more bloodline-based and takes a while to gain and master," he explained. Mei on the other hand took the info in and nods. She knew he was leaving a few things out, but she could understand that it was a family secret. "I see. So that's how you were able to easily beat Yagura," she pondered, and that was when Naruto chuckled in a sheepish manner. "Actually, if I wanted to I could have easily beat Yagura in my normal state without transforming, but I didn't want to carry out the fight and try to reduce collateral damage before things went out of hand, and to be honest I could have used another technique that would have increased my natural power, but it would have done more harm than good since it puts a major strain on my body and if used too much, could actually cripple if not kill me, so that's why I used my transformation instead," he explained. Mei remained silent for a while before shaking her head in amusement. "You really are an enigma, Naruto-kun," she replied back to the grinning Saiyan. "Yeah, so I'm told," he said back. Before she knew it, he had placed his hands around hers, surprising the russet-haired kunoichi. She then looked into his eyes and they radiated with warmth, kindness and love. Mei-chan, I have to be honest. During the time I've been in Kiri and I've met you, I sort of gained a crush on you. He answered with a small blush on her face and her eyes widened at the confession. What? Was her reply before I smiled at her shocked form. Yeah, at first it started off as what you would call puppy love due to the fact that I was entranced by how beautiful you were before getting to know a little more about you. When I saw how you kept charge of the rebels and how strong you were, I was amazed, but it was mostly because you are strong-spirited and determined. You didn't care how the odds were against you, and it was your desire to save your home that gave your comrades the strength to go on even when things looked bleak. Another fact is that you treated everyone in an equal manner and didn't see yourself as someone who is better than others and always put the lives of others above your own, and that is why I have developed feelings for you. Mei just looked at Naruto with surprise in her eyes before she remembered his words. As she looked into his eyes, she saw the sincerity of how much he wanted to get to know her and on a more personal level. She already knew of his clan status since he told her early on, and of how the CRA was undoubtedly gonna be pushed on him when he was older. Though that didn't mean anything to her, he has feelings for me, just like I do. Thank you, Kami. She squealed in her mindscape while a chibi form danced around in her mindscape. Naruto, that was the most beautiful thing you've ever said to me, and I am beyond flattered. Her cheeks grew pink and looked away slightly before looking back at him. I know this seems so strange, especially with our age difference, but seeing you fight Yagura and how strong-willed you were showed me that you were more of a man than you were a child, as I have never met any male who is as strong-willed, fearless, or as kind-hearted as you. She confessed. She then placed both of her hands on the sides of his face before leaning forward and capturing his lips into hers, surprising Naruto for a few seconds before he returned the passionate kiss and wrapped his arms around her waist and placed her on his lap. Several days later, Kirigakure main gate. Several days have passed since Naruto healed and spent his time with Mei, and during that time rumors had already spread about his relationship with Mei, their newly instated Mizukage, and surprisingly the populace was happy for them, but was informed to keep it under wraps so other nations wouldn't find out. Also, over the last few days, Yagura managed to recover and woke up with confusion etched on his face. Mei wanted to see if what many thought were true, and if Yagura was just under a genjutsu of sorts, and to their shock he was, and since then the man isolated himself in the Anbu Corps. But when he asked who it was that stopped him and was informed that it was Mei's guardian, it was funny when the man met Naruto, because Yagura was finding it very hard to believe he was bested by a 12-year-old kid. But when Mei showed him the construction site where there was a crater that was twice as big as the Sanbi, and the fact that Naruto shot a Kamehameha wave into the ocean that created tsunami wave and shook the land from the force the beam was emitting, the man was officially convinced and was thanking Kami that Naruto showed him mercy even if he wasn't in control of his actions. At the gates, a fully dressed Naruto was garbed in a new outfit where he wore a pair of black training GI pants and martial arts shoes with a dark blue shirt that had a black sash wrapped around his waist and black wristbands. Picture Goku's outfit at the end of the DBZ saga when he takes up to Kami's lookout, and also had a tan and black drawstring bag, which he carried over his shoulder. Looking in front of him was Mei Tirami and Ao, whom he had come to respect as a shinobi and fighter, as well as Chojuro, who apparently gained more courage and belief in himself, especially after seeing Naruto, who was younger than him, take on the previous Kage and defeat the man. But aside from that, Naruto did gain a slight shiver of terror when he felt the many illustful stares he was getting from the female populace that came to see him off, both civilian and kunoichi alike, while some of the males called him a lucky bastard for getting their attention so easily. Mei saw this and released a little killing intent on the women in order to stop their actions quickly lest they face the wrath of an angry russet-haired female. Naruto chuckled at her protective nature before turning his gaze back to Mei and let a smirk cross his face. The woman he had no doubt loved was great to be with during his stay in Kirigakure, and during his time with her in the hospital room, they spent the time getting to know one another while getting closer to each other on a more personal level, and it was a little heart-wrenching he had to leave her for now. I guess this is goodbye for now, Mayheim, but don't worry, I will be coming back to pay you a visit. he said with a grin which may just matched with her own before she kissed him with the same love she had for him as he did. This seemed to get smiles from the crowd despite the age difference. Naruto really looked to be around his teens, and how he looked physically. They stayed like that for a few minutes and separated while leaning their heads against one another with soft smiles on their faces. Mei then placed her hand on his cheek and spoke in his ear. "I'll see you soon, Naruto, and next time we'll share more than a kiss." She cooed in his ear seductively, which earned her a blush from the Saiyan in training, while Goku and Shinran chuckled at their student. "Until then, take care, Lady Mizukage, and rule well," he said as he rose into the air, waving at the crowd before doing a two-handed salute and took off into the air as the people said goodbye to Naruto, who disappeared into the clouds. Afterwards, an Anbu appeared beside Mei and handed her a bingo book that she opened up and turned to the page where Naruto was in his Super Saiyan form with the golden aura surrounding his body and flaring to life in a stance where he's performing the Kamehameha wave, and it reads, "Name, Son Naruto. I've got Naruto use Goku's surname instead of his parents for now. The Kogon Misarao, Golden Warrior. Age, 12. Occupation, unknown. Abilities/bloodline. Abilities are unusual at best, but is able to fire energy blasts that are as damaging as any ninjutsu, and ranges from being a single to multiple shot to one that is capable of rivaling if not surpassing a Baijuzimari, menacing ball, and even powerful enough to harm a Jinchuriki in her Baiju state. Also retains the ability to fly in a similar manner like the Nidamen Sandamed Zuchikage Mu and Rutenben no Onoki of both scales, but is more versatile and move faster. Strength level is stated to be on par with that of Tsunade Senju, and his speed apparently rivals that of Yondaime Raikuji Yatsuki and late Yondaime Hokage Minato Namikaze. Possesses the ability to produce barriers made of energy that deflect incoming weapons and ninjutsu-based attacks, as well as use a technique that allows him to create an invisible yet powerful force of energy that is capable of knocking down a Baiyu or leveling a fortress with minimum effort. Is highly skilled with a bow staff and a katana. Taijutsu, beyond cage level, since he was able to best the Yondaime Mizukage Genjutsu unknown Kenjutsu, cage level ninjutsu, unknown Kinjutsu, unknown ranks class, was able to defeat the Yondaime Mizukage single-handedly and even fight on equal grounds with him in his Baiju state. It was rumored he's punched through a ninjutsu with his bare hands and feet. History, unknown, but is rumored in Wave that he crushed Gato and his army of mercenaries and prevented him from taking over Wave Country, and is considered a hero of the people. Bounty, unknown. On sight. Approach with caution. Mei smiled at the picture and looked back up at the sky where she saw her boyfriend take off in. "You are truly an enigma, Naruto-kun. If you're this strong now, then I can't wait to see how powerful you'll be in a few years. Watch how handsome you'll become with Naruto," said teenage Saiyan was taking a stroll in the air before sneezing and wiping his nose with his fingers. "Someone must be talking about me, and I bet it's Mei-chan," Naruto pondered while Goku chuckles in his mindscape. "Hey Naruto, I never got a chance to say how proud I am of you, especially with how you were able to handle that Baiju. Not only that, but also you got together with Mei, and I gotta say you are one lucky person." Naruto on the other hand lets out an annoyed groan as he heard this. "Ugh, here we go again. Sometimes I wonder if you're a closet pervert or something, sensei. No way. She would beat me senseless in the afterlife if I was like that," he said frantically while his student snickered but could help but sympathize with the man. "Hey, your wife must be something else if she intimidating enough to scare you of all people, sensei. I'd love to meet her. Anyway sensei, I've got an issue regarding my Super Saiyan form. You know how I gained it when you turned me into a full-blooded Saiyan, right?" I do, and I was gonna discuss that issue with you once you left Kirigakure. You see Naruto, while the Super Saiyan state makes you 50 times stronger than you'd naturally be, it also takes up a lot of energy and stamina, thus you won't be able to maintain the state for too long. That, and it makes you more aggressive personality-wise and slightly alters your way of fighting. I too had the same issue when I fought Frieza after he killed my best friend Krillin out of spite for nearly killing him, and I'll never forget that feeling. The insatiable rage and the way my blood boiled whenever I had that guy in my line of vision. It was like I was a whole different person, and I almost lashed out at my son once for disobeying my order to leave the fight with Piccolo. It took whatever form of my old personality I had left to stay in control, and the fact that it gave me a slightly sadistic side in that fight didn't help either. Goku explained to Naruto, who mentally nodded as Goku continued. Now then, around my time when me and my friends were facing creatures known as androids who were able to go toe-to-toe with Super Saiyan like me and Vegeta, I was thinking of a way on how we could ascend to the next level. It took some time to ponder on this, and I realized something that involved the first stage of a Super Saiyan. It was in a way similar to my Kaioken technique, so I came up with a theory. Like it, the Super Saiyan stage requires a lot of energy to maintain even for a second, but with a twist. The first stage makes the person a lot more aggressive and tense, forcing us to use more power than we need to, so I was trying to come up with a way on how we could maintain the stage for an extended period of time and to the point where the transformation would seem natural for us. Naruto pondered on this for a second before realizing what Goku meant. So for one example would be like how athletes train in aerobics for extensive periods of time experience heightened states of rest with their heart and respiratory rate being much lower than that of a normal person, right? Exactly, because the Super Saiyan form follows a similar fundamental concept. By remaining transformed for extended periods of time, the Super Saiyan can desensitize themselves to the negative effects of the transformation. Their wild emotions are kept in check, resulting in a more strategic fighting style, and ki consumption is reduced to negligible amounts. Energy radiation is reduced in tandem, and the aura takes on a smoother, flow-like appearance. By mastering the transformation, the Super Saiyan is able to retain transformation almost subconsciously. Goku answered, so in other words, the key to this state is energy conservation rather than boosted energy output. That sounds ingenious, Goku-sensei. If I could do that, I wouldn't have to worry about wasting needless energy or having to power up more than I have to. Yep, you hit the nail right on the head, Naruto, but the only problem is the amount of time it would take for you to master this state. Wait, I got it. That made Naruto stop in his tracks in midair from his ancestor's excitement. What? What is it, Goku-sensei? Naruto asked. The lookout. It's an excellent place to train at. Wait, I don't even know if the lookout is still around or if there's a guardian who's watching the earth. Hey Shinron, do you think it's still around? Goku asked the eternal dragon, who nodded. Yes, the lookout still exists since it is still in geostationary orbit in the skies of Earth and will still be around until the end of time. I would suggest that you would go there, Naruto, because the lookout is one of the best options where Naruto can train at his fullest. Shinron suggested and started to send Naruto the coordinates of where the lookout was. Alright, next stop, the lookout. The lookout. Whoa, this is amazing. This place looks like a floating palace. Naruto states as he lands on the platform and walks around. And whoever tends this garden has one heck of a green thumb. I've never seen any type of flora that has been taken care of this well aside from the ones in the Yamanaka flower shop. Naruto crouches down and inspects the flowers and herbs that were well kept. Why, thank you, said a deep and calm voice that made Naruto jump up into the air in a surprised manner before looking down and staring at what appeared to be a dark-skinned, big-lipped, chubby male who wore a reddish-brown vest with no shirt underneath it with yellow armbands around his biceps. He wore a top and he had his hands behind his back, sash around his waist that held a pair of pants in place with red shoes, and he wore a type of tunic on his head with a blue gem on. Greetings, young man, how may I help you? The short man asked in a polite tone while the preteen who descended back onto the ground. Oh, hi there, sorry for intruding on your home like this. Naruto apologized. No need to apologize, you're more than welcome to stay since it's been a while since I had a guest on the lookout or had someone compliment on my green thumb. Hey, it's Popo. Man, it's been so long since I saw him, and to think he's still around keeping the lookout as tidy as ever. Goku said in an excited manner. Popo? Naruto asked himself. Yes, that is my name, young man. How did you know? Mr. Popo asked. Oh, sorry, I was thinking out loud because my sensei said he knew you. Naruto replied sheepishly. Oh? And who is your sensei exactly? Son Goku, or I in my case Goku-sensei, since he is my ancestor and is training me to be the next guardian of the earth. Oh, and I'm Naruto, by the way. Naruto answered, and Popo's eyes went wide for a few seconds and smiled. Goku, huh? The last time I saw that young man he left the planet with Shinran after defeating the Shadow Dragons. Such spirited and energetic person he was. Popo commented as he remembered how he first met Goku when he was a kid and admired his confidence and desire to protect the innocent and strong will. So Naruto, how can I be of assistance? Well, for the past 5 years after I left my home, I spent my time traveling around the nations under Goku and Shinran-sensei's guidance and honing my skill and getting stronger and, well, they mentioned that there was a place on the lookout where I could get a lot of training done easily within a few days at the very least, since I'm learning how to transform and maintain my Super Saiyan state like he and his son did. Naruto explained to the Jin. I see you wish to use the hyperbolic time chamber. It is the one place where you can get a huge amount of training done easily and not having to worry about the amount of days it would take. I would be willing to give you a tour of the lookout before you start your training. Popo offered. Sure, I'd like that. Naruto answered back and followed Popo around the lookout. Needless to say, Naruto was stumped when he saw how large the place looked on the outside than it did the inside, and Popo took him around the place, showing him areas like the pendulum room and teleporter, and even told him a few stories about the adventures Goku had as a kid. Afterwards, the two of them approached the door that led to the hyperbolic time chamber. To make this short, Naruto, this chamber is a completely different dimension where time runs at a very slow pace, with 1 year in the chamber being equal to 1 day on the outside. Naruto was ecstatic about this. Naturally, one could only remain in here for 2 days, but during the years I upgraded the time to be at least around 4 to 5 days. Popo insisted as he opened the door. Everything you need is in the room, young man, and I wish you luck. Naruto grinned at the man and nodded. Thanks, Mr. Popo, and maybe afterwards, you could give me some tips on how to make my plants as green as yours, since I too have a knack for gardening. Popo chuckled at this but nodded before Naruto walked into the room and closed the door. The hyperbolic time chamber has an entrance at its center, located in a central building with 2 side wings with housing, food supplies, bathing quarters and sleeping quarters. There is no night or day in the room, but the surroundings remain a constant bright iridescent white aura. Its reflective floor is of undefined area, and the room's boundaries are thought to stretch to infinity in all directions, even though it appears to have a definite atmosphere, limiting its size. Man, this place seems to carry on for miles. I better be sure and not get lost, or else I'll be in trouble. So Goku-sensei, care to give me a briefing of this place? Sure. The time dilation that occurs in the hyperbolic time chamber is 1 day of real time, which is equivalent to 1 year in the chamber, or 1 minute of real time is approximately 6 hours in the chamber. There are dual giant hourglasses of emerald sand adorning the sides of the building that count down a year within the chamber. A clock on the dome roof of the main part of the building tells the applicable time in the real world. This essentially allows for someone entering the hyperbolic time chamber to get 1 year worth of intense training in a single day. However, the gravity in the hyperbolic time chamber living area is described as being different, though it seems to not be much higher than Earth's gravity. The gravity of the training area is 10 grams, which is basically 10 times the normal gravity of your planet, but thanks to your Saiyan abilities your body will be able to adapt to it depending on how long you reside in the current gravity. The temperature in the training area fluctuates rapidly, ranging between -40 degrees Fahrenheit, -40 degrees Celsius, and 122 degrees Fahrenheit, 50 degrees Celsius, and the air pressure is 1/4 of Earth's, which means the air here tends to grow denser the deeper one goes into the chamber, so I would advise not going too far off until you've adjusted to the gravity. Goku explains to Naruto, whistled in admiration. Wow, just wow. Well then, I think I'll take an hour to relax for a while before I get started on my training, and I can get to work on improving my calligraphy for my seals, he says, and heads to the chambers to unpack. 5 days later, 5 years in the time chamber, Popo was in the process of polishing some antiques in one of the chambers of the lookout, but then paused for a few minutes and smiled. He must be done. I better go greet him. With that, the pointy-eared Jin made his way back to the area where the time chamber was. As soon as he got there, he heard the door creak open and smiles as he saw Naruto exit out of the place, but completely different. Not only did appear to be 15, but to his amazement, Naruto was now in the full-powered Super Saiyan form but was more relaxed. His facial features exhibit less tension and ferocity than the regular Super Saiyan form, which can be explained by the mastery over the ki consumption and the emotional restlessness that the regular Super Saiyan transformation causes, and his spiked-up hair appears in a more yellowish-white fashion. Also, his clothes appeared to be torn and worn out from the intense training he went through, and his muscles were more defined but not overly so. I must say, Naruto, I'm surprised that you stayed so long in the chamber like you did, because when Goku first tried he couldn't even stay in there for a day. Popo stated while Naruto rubbed the back of his head in a sheepish manner. What can I say? I'm gifted. Naruto replied. Indeed, said another voice, and walking around the corner was what appeared to be a white-furred anthropomorphic cat with slanted eyes and had a cane. Hey kid. The cat said while Naruto blinked owlishly. Whoa, a talking cat? Say, are you a summons? Because I have an Aniki who can summon a talking dog and grandfather figure who can summon monkeys? Naruto asked the cat, who remained silent. Summons? No kid, I'm not. The name's Karin. An old friend of your ancestor Goku as well as one of his past teachers, and I'm a martial arts master. Karin answered. Wait, you're Karin? Hey, sorry, but I never pictured you to be a cat. Naruto said in an honest tone while Karin grumbled for a bit but shrugged it off. Yeah, I get that a lot. So I take it you spent the last 5 days in that chamber, huh? Hey, I'm beyond impressed. Goku couldn't last in there for even half a day, and the guy looked like he was gonna keel over. Karin boasted while in Naruto's mindscape, Goku was curled up in the fetal position with a rain cloud over his head looking glum while Shinran chuckled at the man's childish antics. Hey, those were the days, but anyways, I just came by to see the future protector of the planet, and I have to say, the planet's in good hands if you're this strong in this state. Thanks Karin-san, but I'm not just getting stronger to protect just the world. Naruto stated, and the cat raised a non-existent eyebrow. Oh? Then what else is there, my boy? Karin asked. I'm also doing this to protect the people I love because they are my inspiration to get stronger. Naruto answered back as the images of Kushina, Mito, Hiruzen, Kakashi, Rin, Ankoku Renai, Hana, Zoom, Yugao, Tuki, and Yam, Makoto, Sukina, and Hitomi appear in his mind. A side smirk formed on Karin's face as he got his answer from Naruto. Ah, yes, Goku was the same way. He may have been an oddball, but the guy had a heart of gold. Say, Naruto, if you don't mind, would it be possible for me to get a small glimpse of your real power? Karin asked the young Super Saiyan, who blinked a couple of times. Are you sure, Karin-san? I don't want to end up destroying the lookout from my power output. Naruto asked. Yeah, just a small glimpse is all. He assured Naruto, who looked a little unsure but then nodded before getting into his power-up stance, like Goku did before the Cell Games. Okay, here goes. Naruto squeezes his fists while an outline of a golden aura formed around his body. Ha! His aura flared out around the area. The entire lookout glowed from the output of Naruto's strength. Above the lookout, the skies darkened and lightning crackled and rumbled across the clouds. Karin was gobsmacked at the energy output Naruto was releasing and couldn't believe it. Man, this isn't a glimpse of his power. I feel sorry for whoever makes him go all out in a fight. Karin thought as he saw yellow electricity radiate around Naruto's glowing form before Karin spoke up. Alright Naruto, that's enough. You're gonna make the lookout fall apart. He yelled out before Naruto powered down and remained in his relaxed form. Man, that was insane. I haven't felt a power that great since Goku fought Cell back in the day. I still can't believe that was only a glimpse of your power. Not even Goku's kid was this powerful when he was your age. Hey, thanks Karin-san, that means a lot coming from Goku-sensei's mentor. Naruto thanked. No problem kid, so I take it you're gonna head back into the elementals to complete your traveling trip? Karin asked Naruto, who nodded. Well then I think you're gonna need these just in case. Karin brought his arm around, revealing what looked like a medium-sized sack. In this bag are special beans I created called senzu beans which I personally grew. Take one of these when you're out of gas and not only will it restore you back to full strength but it'll keep you full for 10 days straight. He answered while tossing an astonished Naruto the bag. You're serious? Was all Naruto asked. Like a shark attack kid. Karin answered. Naruto remained stunned for a few minutes before snapping out of his stupor. Wow, well thanks. That was when Popo decided to speak up. Well then before you leave Naruto might I suggest getting rid of those tattered clothes first before you head out and continue your journey? Naruto looked at his clothes and smiled in a sheepish manner, so a few minutes later, Naruto changed into a spar he kept in his bag and then strapped the senzu beans he got from Karin to his belt and then says his goodbyes to the two and vowed to visit them whenever he got the chance. Later on Naruto decided to take a break from training and heads over to Kaminati no Kuni, Lightning Country, to check out the sights and was currently walking around the village with his pack slung over his shoulder and was biting down on a stick of dango he bought from a dango shop earlier. As he did, the young Super Saiyan was unaware of the looks he was getting from some of the civilians, especially the females, but it was mostly due to his tail waving back and forth behind him. Hey, is that a tail? Yeah, it looks like it. You think the kid is some kind of demon like the Nibi and Hukubi? Doesn't seem like it. Maybe it's some type of Kekai Genkai. He is kind of cute and check out the muscles on his arms. Giggle, were most of the whispers Naruto would hear and couldn't help but chuckle inwardly before coming across a hot spring site. I might as well. I hear the hot springs here are very popular. Right now Naruto was relaxing in one of the outdoor springs, sighing contentedly as the warm soothing water worked its way on his muscles and removed the tension from them. On the other side, he could hear some of the females on the other side talking and giggling. That was when he heard a different form of giggling that wasn't female-like and was more perverted. His eyes shot open and narrowed them because from the trees was a white-haired man with binoculars sitting on a tree branch and grinning like he won the lottery. A pervert. Naruto growled out and was contemplating on knocking him out of the tree with a ki blast, but that would draw unnecessary attention to him, which he didn't want. But that was when a devious grin formed on Naruto's face and he hops out of the hot springs and dashes back inside to get changed. Afterwards, said young Super Saiyan was zipping across the tree branches like a blur before hiding behind another tree and looking over his shoulder, turning his gaze onto the unaware pervert, and a glint appears in his eyes. I think I have just the technique to use on this guy, Naruto says as he snickered in an evil fashion and channels a small amount of ki into his index and middle fingers and brings them together into a ram sign. Afterwards Naruto vanishes and appears behind the man and shouts, "Take this, you pervert!" Naruto shouted, surprising the man, who tried to turn around only for it to be in vain. Go no Hatei Jutsu no Ugi, Senin Goroshi. Leaf Village Secret Finger Jutsu, 1000 Years of Death. Naruto drives his ki-enhanced fingers into the man's rectum and sent him flying off the tree branch and lands into the women's side of the hot springs. Afterwards, Naruto busted out laughing as he heard the females scream pervert and proceeded to beat the crap out of the man, while Goku and Shinran chuckled in amusement, and afterwards, the blondes took off into the forest, leaving the man who was crying out for mercy at the female civilians and some kunoichi who were beating the crap out of him. Right now Naruto was sailing over the open ocean of Lightning Country with his back turned to the water and simply staring at the sky with his hands behind his head, humming before his eyes shot open and stood straight up into the air and looks around. What was that feeling? It felt similar to the chakra from the Sanbi, only it's stronger, and this seems to be another one but is even weaker than the Sanbi's energy signature. He notices a speck far away, and as he used his keen sight, he noticed an island in the middle of the ocean. It's coming from that island. I wonder if it's a residence for the Baiju that live in Kaminati no Kuni? Might as well check it out. With that Naruto zips towards the unknown island.